back to EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. We're excited you're here today. We have a great show. So before we get started, let's review all the different goals of EQ Video Tip. Welcome back. Today's show is a great one. It's about how to take critical feedback, and it comes to us from Alex Citron Safadi, who is an author from Quartz. Now, have you ever had a time where someone approaches you, like a manager, and says, I want to give you radical candor, or, we need to have a growth mindset, or it's time for a 360 review? I'm sure we all see these things. When we get these reviews of ourselves, we have emotions that come out right away. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about what's the best way to approach and take critical feedback. Step one, or tip one. Whether you're getting feedback informally or it's a formal annual review, the first thing to do is avoid deciding how meaningful that feedback is at that moment. Now, unless you're a surgeon or you're a bomb diffuser, it's very rare that the feedback is so incredibly important that you need to react right then and there. So the first thing you should do is thank the person. Even if you don't like what they said, it's worthy of them understanding that you appreciate and you recognize that they're a human being and it might have been awkward for them, but you're going to listen to that feedback. You may not accept it, but you need to see what it is. This reminds the person that you're fallible as well. So no need to overreact, no need to be defensive. We've bought some time. Let's go to the next step as to what to do. Tip number 2. Even if it's well-intentioned or valuable, feedback can be fraught. So it could be inaccurate. It's only for a moment in time. So you need to decide, is this really valuable to me? So first remind yourself, it's only one facet of actually who you are. And you need to figure out what's the context around that as well. This will help balance the critical feedback versus giving you some perspective on what actually happened. Now, you'll need to put the feedback in context to understand how productive it might be. Did you ask for the feedback, or did that person invite that to you on his or her own self? Who gave it to you? What's the relationship? Is it your manager? Is it a coworker? Is it a friend? And how did they provide it to you? Was it thoughtful, or was it not well-intentioned, or was it really genuinely well-meaning? These things will help answer some of the questions to determine whether that feedback is pretty well-intentioned and potentially useful for you so that you can move on to that next stage. Tip number 3, corroborate and challenge. Now, this is going to be a little hard, but you need to go around and collect data and information from trusted members of your career community. This could be colleagues, sponsors, mentors, peers, could even be your customer. Ask if they recognize this behavior in you, because you're not thinking about making a change off the back of one single person or one point of view. And different people have different backgrounds and different views who think in different ways. So approach them to get this valuable lens into the feedback that you just received. Tip number 4, turn the feedback into a goal. You can either do this step on your own or with the help of the person providing the feedback. So craft some objectives. What's the goal? What will change as a result of having achieved it? Who do I need support from? And how will I measure my progress? And what will I do to celebrate that success when I get there? And goals by nature, they need to be achievable. So you need to have structure and a plan around it. This means you've turned the feedback into something tangible and you've worked out what you need to see as a result at the end of this process. Sometimes this is easy to do and it can be done in a week. Other times it's going to take a while. So don't just change something overnight. For example, if someone says you need to change your communication style, that may take a few months or even a year to do. Take your time, be thoughtful about it, and work towards a goal. Our final tip, return to the source. If you determine the feedback was terrible, or biased, you can probably stop there. But otherwise, you should have a final step and return to the person who gave you that feedback. Tell someone you're turning their feedback into a goal, which will help you learn what was valuable in that initial conversation, and it'll encourage them to keep helping you out. And that's really important because really what we're looking for is ways to improve ourselves constantly. And the conversation can also bring that person deeper into your career and earn more trust with them and help you be accountable to the goals that you set forth. So if you're not accepting the feedback, it's still important to talk to that person and let them know what's going to happen and what the context is of your decision. You might have decided the feedback's not relevant right now or not a priority with other things going on, but that you'll get to it at some point in your career. Explaining your thoughts to them allows that person to recognize that the feedback can be an ongoing dialogue, an ongoing conversation to help you improve, as well as it lets you know, or lets them know, I should say, that their feedback to you was considered and they did a good thing by providing it to you. Everyone likes to have their input recognized. So bringing people back into your thought process allows you to recognize that we're human to human and we have those interactions. It makes it more likely that they'll give you feedback again in the future, and it builds career karma in the long term as well. While it's not easy to get feedback at any point, consider using these steps to help you with your feedback process. So that concludes our tips for today. Here's a quick recap of how to deal with critical feedback and what to do once you receive it. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.